Hello, beautiful, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay and Conversation. How did you live without it? I'm Vortex, your host, and on this episode, I got to interview Manuel Godoy, and he is the president, author, just all kinds of things with Black Sands Entertainment. And if you didn't know, they won Shark Tank. Oh my goodness. So get ready for cosplay and conversation. All right, so let's get into it because I know you have so much to do. So, everyone, oh my goodness, like I'm a little starstruck right now, so you have to forgive me. I have Manuel Godoy on my show today. I mean, you might have seen him on Shark Tank recently and got the hookup with Kevin Hart. And I mean, that was mind blowing. Like, what happened? What was going through your mind during that
Well,
point?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we didn't even know Kevin Hart was gonna be there until like 2 weeks prior, so
Uh-huh.
we weren't preparing for him at all.
Uh-huh.
We were comparing. Me honestly, I was preparing for a panel of potentially five white people, right? Like, I'm just being honest. Sometimes the panel is five white people, right? So I don't
Right.
know if Damon's gonna be there or not, right? So you
Right.
have to prepare for this. Might be a very, you know, not connected like team, right? So we were super prepared for anything possible. When we found out Kevin Hart was gonna be on there, we all lost our minds because we were like, this is the guy who says what's hot, what's not.
Mhm.
If we can get him excited on that stage, it's over.
It's
It's
yes, it's
over.
over. I was
Talented.
watching his eyes the whole time, like, oh, he is eating this up. Get it, get it, get it.
He did have some wide eyes up there. He was like, yo, don't walk away from this right now. All right. I was like, okay.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I will say, like, I was getting my family pumped, my children remember you from a few years back. They was like, yes, this is what we need. My children was actually excited to watch TV.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you too. That's one of the coolest things about this is that so many people have seen me in the past, met me
Hmm.
at conventions or followed me on Instagram or something for like 5 years.
Yes.
So it's like this guy really came from, one floppy comic book to like this empire on television, fighting against $100 million millionaires, right?
Right,
And
right.
and putting up a good fight. So
And other
that
comic books.
yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy moment, in general. I feel this is a tipping point
Mhm.
for the industry as a whole because I'm building a completely different niche. Like if you noticed our catalog,
Yes.
no superheroes,
Nope.
right? No generic stories that you've seen a million times with black folks in it,
Yes.
right? We have a very specific genre that we're approaching, and if we pull it off correctly, we'll corner that market where basically anybody who ever wants to be in that space, including Disney,
Mm-hmm.
right, will
Mm-hmm.
have to come through us.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, why is it so important to even do this type of comic book? Because I don't even want to say black comic book. It's
Yeah.
comic book, period.
Well, well, I would say the importance of it is the simple fact that black people don't have a culture,
Mhm.
right? We have an identity, and we're very strong in our identity, but we don't have a culture, and that's only because of the programming that was put into us here in America. Right? They
Right.
only want to remind you about slavery and civil rights and how
Mhm.
look, you're not a slave anymore. You've done great with your life, right? And I just felt like that was a little too little,
Right.
right? We all say the same saying when things are tough. Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. Whose culture is that? Right?
Exactly.
It's like that's a European. It makes perfect sense to a European. Rome wasn't built in a day. They're like, yeah, I'm building Rome. I'm building a legacy. This is going to be tough. where is our Rome? Right?
Exactly.
It's like Mali wasn't built in a day, right?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like, but we wouldn't think of that. We wouldn't even say something like that because we're so disconnected from our past. So even though Black Sands is an Egyptian story, it's one of many,
Hmm.
African stories that's published under our brand. And hopefully they all blow up like Black Sands, right? And we really take up this space as basically the history before slavery, people. You know?
Exactly. And I will say the app caught me off guard, because usually I read my comics late at night, like, okay, do a quick read. And I didn't know my volume was all the way up. My children came running in like, what was that? Like, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm okay. It's okay.
It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
It
That
is a
that app
vibe.
that app. I felt like I couldn't just be webtoons.
Right.
Can't be some generic screen of comics. I had to put like some kind of pride in you, and I think that music specifically hits at the
Hmm.
moment. Eventually, you're gonna be like, I don't want to listen to music anymore. I'll turn it off, right?
Right.
But the
Right.
whole point is, at the beginning, it sets the tone.
It does.
Like this is different.
Yes, exactly. I do need more tickets, so I will work on that later. Um, but it definitely does set the tone and it separates you from everyone else, which is awesome. And it just speaks to your creativity. So just want to give kudos to that. And, I feel like a proud auntie, a proud mama, like you and your family because you team up with your wife,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
also awesome. And just a great example of how we should be in general, just
Oh
working
yeah.
together and feeding off of one another and bringing each other's talents out.
I've always said that too. Is like it's a great model for marriage.
Hmm.
If you're gonna be a business owner, right, you gotta find a way to work with your spouse. There's no
Yes.
way, because if you're successful, you just basically cheated on your spouse, right? Like from a perspective, the whole idea of cheating is that somebody's taking away the interest of the spouse,
Hmm.
right? Taking away their commitments, taking away their what's it called. So if they're not part of that business, it's the same feeling. It's like
Hmm.
I'm being left for by this business. This business is more important than me, right? So you gotta be a
Right.
part of it. And I love separation of powers. I believe separation of powers is very important.
Hmm.
So, she does very different things from me in the business. That way I can't tell her how to do her job.
Hmm.
She can't tell me how to do my job,
Exactly.
right? And third parties keep us both in check. That is a great way to make everybody feel honest and be a part of the movement. So when we get wins, we both feel it and we don't get angry about it. We're not competing against each other or anything like that.
That is a very good point, and I hope folks are taking notes because, you are in a union. You have to work together. You have to grow as well. There's no point in one just growing and the other one just being stagnant.
Oh yeah, that'll drive them crazy. We all
It
know
was
how that works out.
exactly. So, what is next for Black Sands?
Well, a lot of people missed out on this last investment round, so
Oh, I
we
did
got a lot
not.
of
I am an
yeah.
investor. I did not miss out.
There's a lot of people have, right? And a
Right.
lot of people just recently got refunded. So it was like 800 people who
Wow.
got refunded on the investment round because they came in after like 1.25 million. Like when Shark Tank was just about to air, they were like, "Oh, I gotta invest," right? And it's like,
Right.
okay, well,
Exactly.
if you
Uh-huh.
don't make it in, I can't help you.
Right. Right.
But it happens every time. It happened in the last two rounds in 2020 as well,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're gonna have future investment rounds, right? There's gonna be more opportunities in the future. Price
Mm-hmm.
might go up, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
Yesterday's stock price is not today's stock price, but at the end of the day, they will have opportunities to invest in us because we want to constantly have the community a part of all our productions,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have stake in the game. If we succeed, they succeed. You know, the whole 9 yards. Um, the animated property is going to be done by the summer,
Mm-hmm.
so we got a lot of employees just recently. We're burning through production right now.
Okay.
it's a lot more easier to recruit now that everybody knows you, right? So,
Exactly. Yes.
people are literally just DMing us with great portfolios, like, "Hey, what are you guys doing in this
Right.
field?" I'm
My
like,
Discord is just
looking for
blowing
you.
up all the time. Discord. I'm like, come on, Discord. I'm at work. Give me a break.
Yeah, and so that's the immediate future.
Mhm.
Obviously, we're gonna have a big shakeup on the BSB Comics app because we're done with this investment round. So,
Right.
most likely, so long as things go through well with Mark Cuban and
Mhm.
Kevin Hart, as far as like negotiations are concerned, once that's finished, most likely I'm gonna be leaning heavily on Mark Cuban on that side because
Mhm.
he has a lot of tech companies and a lot of app companies already under his umbrella. They
Right.
know what to do, right? So they know what to do to get us to scale. So we're
Mhm.
going to lean heavily on them, right? And video games might be in the future. We have a lot of conversations with major video game platforms,
Mhm.
right, on exclusives. So we'll see what shakes up from there. But I don't know how to make video games, but I'm a huge video game fanatic,
Mhm.
right? And I know they know how to make video games, so I'll be like, I'm gonna give you a dope story, and you run
Right.
with it,
You run
right?
with it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. You just lay the foundation and you just give it to the talent.
that's it.
That's
I don't
it.
have to own everything, right?
Right.
This is the thing about people. People they, you know, video game licensing is very different from movies and television. They're like, hey, we're spending $40 million. We want to own all the licensing and merchandising rights in perpetuity for this title.
Right.
You're like, no, but the whole point is that's what they're gonna ask for.
Mhm.
Video games, they're like, we want the story for this particular game. So nobody tries to make a part two of this particular like storyline, but the storyline doesn't even have to be the main storyline of Black Sands. It could be a
Mhm.
completely made up story specifically for video games in the Black Sands universe,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's like you don't feel the loss of that one, right?
Mhm.
Gone, that story,
Right.
right? But you also don't give up all your licensing and merchandising rights later. Like you might give up like a small percentage of it, but Xbox is selling games. They want
Mm.
Game Pass or
Right.
whatever, right? PlayStation wants PlayStation exclusive. They don't care about the toys so much
Right.
as a movie company would,
Right.
So
Yeah, that's their bread and butter. So oh my goodness. So I understand that you want to have a headquarters on the East Coast because
yeah.
you're East Coast. I mean, why not? So that's exciting. And I'm sure, a lot of folks are knocking down your door like, oh, I can do production, or I knew how to do, office management, so forth and so on. So I understand that you are also going to do, a big call out for different positions.
Yeah,
So what
all the
is the
time.
timeline for that and how can folks connect with you?
Well, I always tell people to add me on LinkedIn so they don't miss
Mhm.
any job postings because I post all my jobs on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Right. But with that being said, I think we're currently looking for a lead editor, right? So I'm gonna do some interviews for that soon. I had a whole bunch of applications for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also going to be looking for a lead scout,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And lead editor is pretty simple. It's the person who handles the publishing side.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to do it anymore, right?
Right. You're
I
busy.
got way too many things to do, so I need
Right.
somebody else to handle all this paperwork.
Right.
So they're going to handle that, and then the lead scout is somebody who's going to be working on recruitment of new talent,
Mm-hmm.
recruitment of new stories to go and acquire, potentially finding new artists or whatever. Right? They're just scouting. They're making sure that we get the best talent out there and get them under our brand, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to share space with anybody. We're
Mm-hmm.
trying to gobble up this entire genre's market cap and then, dictate the terms of how everything goes from that point on, right? And,
Right.
and that requires that we move quickly, we
Mm-hmm.
take up as much space as possibly can and get as many people as we can under us. So that if you're not under us, you feel oppressed by us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unfortunately, that's gonna be the vibe. People gonna be like, man, I hate that Black Sands, man. Every time I talk about anything, they say you should rock with Black Sands, right? It's like what'd you say?
What you say?
What'd you say about it? It's like it's what was the old saying they say in Batman or something? They're like, he said, die a hero or live long enough to be the villain, right? Right. It's like that. That's the idea of it. It's like eventually Black Sands will block out the sun, and it's going to happen.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be fighting just the very thought of why aren't you working with Black Sands, right? And it sucks, but that is the reality of what's going to happen in the future. Just like everybody says it with Marvel,
Mhm.
oh, this would be amazing with Marvel. You're like, oh, I'm not really trying to work with Marvel, right? So that is the fate. It's going to happen, right?
Mhm.
People are going to eventually call me a villain because I'm so everybody's bringing me up, but I got Black Thanos energy, so I don't care.
Oh, hey, hey. Well, thank you once again, Manuel, for joining me today. It has been a pleasure and an honor. Much love to you and your family. Keep doing what you're doing. And, are all anticipating on what's coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely, and you should definitely be anticipating it because you're a stockholder. I'm being held accountable. You know?
Absolutely. Well, thanks again.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Bye.